a snare? Shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth a snare? Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. No man, when he has lighted a candle, putteth it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they which come in may see the light. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Luke chapter 11, verses 33 and 34 of the 1611 King James Version of the Holy Bible.
You are now entering the order of the Celestial Lodge, the highest, most exclusive order on the planet. Few ever witness its teachings, and you are blessed to glimpse what lies within.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to another prophecy being fulfilled of revelations, secrets that were promised to be revealed in the last days at the return of the Christ of Yod. The title of this testimony in Revelation is Me, comma, myself, comma, and the lowercase I of the English alphabet. That's the 9th letter of the English alphabet, the lowercase I. Not the capital I, the lowercase I. And that is from left to right, just as the English write, from left to right. Me, M-E, comma, myself, that's M-Y-S-E-L-F, all together like that, comma, and A-N-D, the word A-N-D, do not put a graphic and put the letters A-N-D and the lowercase I. That's the title. So what does that mean? That means nothing that you see here with these three, they actually call pronouns. Neither one of these three pronouns exist as what you thought they meant in English. They do not. Neither one of those three. By putting this in the search box of the Strong Concordance, as I did, it takes you to several books and chapters, beginning with Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 5, and ending at 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 9 of the New Testament. But as you look at this, me, myself, and I, the way you wrote it down as your title, they're not together side by side like that. Juxtaposed, they're not together side by side for some strange reason. I typed me, comma, myself, comma, and I. And when I went to the search box, as you should do in your computer software, your Strong Concordance, you'll see that it takes you to the very same books and chapters and verses. Although it says it occurs 114 times in 17 verses, I still don't see what I typed. I do not. I do not see what I typed. I typed me, comma, myself, comma, and I. I do not see that in no verse that I requested. Why? Because it does not exist. That's why. It doesn't exist in Hebrew, English, or Greek. You can look for yourself and see. So what does that mean? That means you must come out of her and come out of the English's mindset. I'm going to go back into history for a moment, and I'm going to remind many, maybe introduce to some, and proclaim to others that in 1979, the year 1979 of the Gregorian calendar, a man by the name of, that he went by as, I quote, Moses Israel, end quote.
The leader of Miami's Yahweh Temple is Moses Israel. His
came south of the United States to Florida, the state of Florida, came south to the biggest city in the south of Florida. It's known as Miami. He came to Miami of Florida in 1979 as Moses Israel. And going back to your concordance, as you can see, the very first book in your concordance that me, myself, and I searched and gave you is Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 5. I'm going to read that, and I'm going to read it verbatim, from left to right, quote, "And I turned myself and came down from the mount and put the tables in the ark which I had made. And there they be, as the Lord commanded me," end quote. And there you see the last word in this verse is me, M-E, that you know from left to right, M-E. And the first pronoun we found is the second of this verse, which is I. And then the fourth we came to of this verse is myself. And that's how the computer software gave this to our search. And the first thing I put was me. So why did it give us me last in this verse? The second thing I put was myself. So why did it give it to us? It gave it to us second. But then the last thing I put was I. So why did it give us I first? And that's because my special soul left in prophecy. The first shall be last, and the last first. This is one of those fulfillments of the first shall be last. Many that are first shall be last, and the last first. I believe that's in Matthew chapter 19, verse 30. I could be corrected if not. But your question should be, why did a man come here bearing an appellation known as Moses, Moshe, a Levite priest, a priest from Levi, the tribe Levi, to Miami of Florida in 1979? He also came years later bearing the appellation that many know today as, I quote in English, Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote. So the question remains the same. Why did he come to Miami? And notice I said Miami. And you can spell Miami on your paper. You can write it down. I have those who are with me today. Write it down from left to right. M-I. A in the middle. M-I. That's Miami. As you know it. Again, that does not exist. Why is that? Because there is no me and there's no my. So how you get to Miami? And how come you spell M-I but you get me? And how come you spell M-I and you get my? Why you spell M-I and get my, and then you spell M-I and get me as me, myself, and I? Doesn't exist. I mean, you're dealing now with homophones. Homophone, a word that sounds like another word but spelled differently, like my. My. Is it M-I or M-Y? And me, is it M-E or M-I? This is the same as what the English people say when they mention or hear the name or see the name Micah. Spelling Micah, M-I-C-A-H. But then they say Micah. Why do they say Micah? It's spelled M-I-C-A-H. And why do we say Micah? It's spelled M-I. English has one idiom outburst, and the Hebrew has another idiom outburst of the English's words. These are English words. They're not English and they're not Hebrew. The English-speaking people don't have a me. That means, where's me? If I ask you a question, hypothetically speaking, who left that door open? Me. And who is me? Whose door is it? Yours. Well, how did you open it? Did you open it? How did you open it? By myself? Oh, now you went from me to myself. Make up your mind. Me, myself, and who left out of it first? I did. Okay, let me get this straight. Me opened it, you helped by myself, and I was the first to go through it. Me, myself, and I. Who left it open? Me. How'd you open it? By myself. Who went out first? I did. Me, myself, and I. So who is me? Who is myself? You can't have myself without self. Why you can't have self without self? You cannot have myself without my. God, could you? When you look up, now go to your Strong Concordance and look up, in your Strong Concordance, look up myself. That's the second thing you have on your title, after me, doesn't you? Okay. Before we look it up, let me remind you of something. Back in the days, of course, the one who they call Yahweh ben Yahweh is no longer with us, and that will be official. That was made official on Monday, May 7th, 2007. Official. Even by death certificate, Miami-Dade County, state of Florida, death certificate, he died medically, reality, physically, died. A dead corpse, vessel, terrestrial, on Monday, May 7, 2007, dead. Just like you squish a roach or an insect or spray it with Raid and it's dead. It will not get up and move and go to a roach heaven. It will not. You kill a rat, it's not going to go to a rat heaven and come back and say you missed. I came back to get you to eat your cheese. It's not going to happen. So why in hell is the congregation of the dead looking for him to come back and eat their cheese? A meal that he prepared for him. They'd be so happy he come out. You just be preparing a meal for me. You'd be so excited. I'm not going to let unclean hands to cook a meal for me anyway. Or did you get that memo? You can hear it. Listen to the memo. It's there. You'd be so excited to see me. I know you'd be just getting my dinner ready. Having a feast is not a physical feast. I'm not going to let unclean hands cook a meal for me anyway.
Because it's a new mindset where I live, where I'm going, and where you're going to have to meet me. Am I going to get out of here physically? Of course I am. Of course I am. I've made up my mind to do so. And because I've made up my mind to do so, I am. And I know some of you will get so excited, and you'll want to prepare for me to come home, and you can just see yourself now getting all this dinner ready, etc., and I may not be there. You see, the real feast is not physical. And none of you will be able to deceive me with a physical feast. In fact, I'm not going to allow an unclean person to fix a meal for me anyway. Some of you think unclean is when you're on the issue. I know. Some of you think unclean means when your hands haven't been washed and your dirty, your physical clothes are soiled. No, 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 no. The old mindset is unclean.
But yet you preparing a meal for a dead corpse that don't even exist anymore. Not only was it dead, it was cremated to ashes. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. And my people today are still honoring and praising a Yahweh, Ben Yahweh. They are honoring and worshiping and praising Yahweh, Ben Yahweh, but they would not once have I heard them say, praise Yahweh, or honor Yahweh, or thank you, Yahweh. It's praise Yahweh, Ben Yahweh, and left Yahweh totally out of the picture, who's supposed to be their God that they worship by name, Yahweh. And that too does not exist. There is no God of the Hebrews whose name is Yahweh, spelled from left to right, Y-A-H-A with a vowel, the same A that's found in absent-minded. H, Y-A-H-W-E-H. Where'd that come from? That's the same E next to your M of me. A vowel. The same E. And that's the same Y next to the M of myself. M-Y, M-Y-A-H-W-E-H. Why did he come to Miami? And while he was here, he was teaching. Who was he teaching? In the beginning, he was teaching. Who was he teaching? You cannot answer that question. That's why I'm here today, to answer the question for you. And by the way, do your math. Just make 18 years. This year, this is the last month of the year, 2025 of that calendar, the last month. If you don't know what the last month is, and turn this recording off because you're not worthy to hear it. You're just dumb. You're a dumb fool, and you wouldn't be getting any information out of it anyway that'll help you. So turn it off if you don't know what the last month of that calendar year is, Gregorian. 2025. Do your math. That's 18 years since 2007 that he was physically pronounced dead on May 7, 2007, medically, by doctors, a medical staff, and then cremated in Opelika, Florida a few days later, the vessel, the dead body. So, in other words, my people that are still dead in the mind, they're actually, now you have to look at the reality of this. Look at the reality of this. They are praising a dead group of ashes. If they put it in an urn, they call it an urn. Is it called an urn? Where you earn your praise Yahweh ben Yahweh, ashes. You earned it. Every time you say praise Yahweh ben Yahweh, you're earning him in his ashes. I pray he can hear you for your sake, because you need help. Bad, real bad. I'm not a psychologist. I cannot help you like that. You need help, though. You need help. Do you not know? I asked you, what was he doing? You don't even know what he was doing. You know who he was talking to? Go to Proverbs chapter 21 for a moment. It was promised, and I'm right now I'm fulfilling prophecy as I speak. I'm fulfilling prophecy. It was promised. In fact, we can go to it. I am fulfilling prophecy as I speak. As you hear the voice, this voice, mine. See, mine voice, mine, not my voice. Mine. Personal. This is mine voice. That's found in the book called John, King James Version Bible. John, Yohanan, Hebrew, chapter 5. And verse 25. And that reads, as I quote, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is now, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear shall live. End quote. This particular verse and promise was preserved for just what it said in the verse. N-O-W, now. Why? Who's the subject? Who's the subject? In this verse, who's the subject? You don't know until I reveal it. You're looking right at it. Who's the subject? The subject is the dead. The dead. That also answers the question on who Moses Israel / Yahshua the Messiah / Yahweh be Yahweh was teaching and talking to. Also known in 1986 at his interview, his debut interview of John the Baptist. So who was he teaching? Come on, let's go. He was teaching Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 16. He was teaching those in this verse that are dead. Not like his death now after 18 years. He was teaching a mentally and spiritually dead people. And that's all ethnicities, especially Judah, the so-called African American or Negro. That is who he was teaching. And you know what happened to most of those since November 7th, 1990? You know what happened to most of those? They went away from the congregation. They strayed away from studying and the knowledge to study. They left the knowledge and strayed away and went out. And you know what they did? They remained in the congregation of the dead. I'm not making this up. Take a look at, now let's go back to Proverbs chapter 21. I'm going to start at verse, I believe I'm going to start at verse, let's start for the sake at verse 10. Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 10, and I'm going to quote. It reads, "The soul of the wicked desireth evil. His neighbor findeth no favor in his eyes." Verse 11, "When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge." Look how wonderful. Verse 12, "The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness." Verse 13, "Whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard." Wow. Can you imagine? Verse 14, "A gift in secret pacifieth anger, and a reward in the bosom strong wrath." Verse 15, "It is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity." And finally, the subject, verse 16, the man. Why did you leave out the women? I wonder what's with this man. Because the men lead the women. The women don't have to be there. The women are following the men. So the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. That's the only place in the King James Version Holy Bible where you'll find those four words juxtaposed together. Juxtapose means place side by side. That's Juxtapose. Juxtapose, juxtapose, side by side. With four words, congregation of the dead. Take a look and see. Go to your concordance and type in those four words. Congregation of the dead. So when you look up this subject of the congregation of the dead. You're only going to find it like that in Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 16 of the KJV Holy Bible. And when you look up the word congregation itself, the congregation on H6951, that's 6951, it takes you to the meaning of an assembly. Assembly, company, congregation, convocation. Also, it says for evil counsel. It's congregation. Even religious purposes. As organized or organized body. As organized body. I mean, some people who left in 1990 the Temple of Love in Miami of Florida, international headquarters, they went out and they formed their own organized body of evil counsel and going to war now with others who had the understanding and the knowledge and studying for their religious purposes, which is a wicked convocation, evil convocation, assembly of people, a whole company of them. And they are known today as the congregation of the dead. And that's who, quote, Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote, was teaching back in the 1980s until his arrest on November 7th, 1990. He was teaching a whole bunch of dead folks, even his own people, that was believing in what? Me, myself, and I. And did not get the understanding of me, myself, and I. Why? Because they did not study. They left the understanding of that. They did not study. And that's what he was using to them. That is what Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote, was teaching them of themselves. Me, myself, and I. And none of those three pronouns exist in English. None of them. It had not the meaning. Take heed, therefore, that the light which is in thee be not darkness. If thy whole body, therefore, be full of light, having no part dark, the whole shall be full of light, as when the bright shining of a candle does give thee light. Reference: the King James Version Holy Bible, 1611 edition, the book called Luke, in chapter 11, and verses 35 and 36. I'm giving you revelation. In fact, you want to know who I am? Well, speaking of going to prison, see, John went to prison. Oh, by the way, who's John? As I repeat, it just slipped out a few moments ago, but I'm going to tell you now that in 1986, during a Time interview, who many are still calling today again, quote, Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote, introduced himself to the world during an interview as John the Baptist, A. And that's what he came as, a witness. John. He even told them that we're going to go to in a moment. We're going to look at a video, and only a few minutes of it, that he taught, standing in front of the whole congregation of the dead during that day. During that hour, he was standing on his podium that was located at International Headquarters, Temple of Love, in Miami, Florida. I was there. How? Well, the address, 2766 Northwest 62nd Street in Miami, Florida. Zip? Yes, 33147. See, I was there. I had mail coming to the box. While I was living in the temple I was living with Moses Israel. That's the first celestial name, terrestrial body that I was living with. Moses. Moshe. Called him out Moshe. Then I started living with Yahshua, the Messiah. And then I found myself suddenly living with Yahshua, our Messiah. And that didn't take long for me to suddenly realize I was with Yahweh the Messiah. And then finally, I left in 1985, went out in the wilderness, and who did I leave behind? I left behind Yahweh ben Yahweh. All the same body, the same terrestrial vessel. And here today, from 1985, here I am 40 years later, revealing secrets of John the Baptist when he went to prison. That's why he was so concerned. When you look at the Bible, you go to your New Testament, I was only known then as Micah. I'm still known today only as Micah. And I'm going to go to Mark chapter 1. Mark chapter 1 of the New Testament. I'm going to read from verse 14, which it reads, I quote, "Now after that, John was put in prison." And what was John put in prison during these days, during this generation? 1992. His final trial was held in December of 1992, and he was sentenced to prison from Miami-Dade County Courts, state of Florida, in 1992. So after that, John was put in prison. They have here a erroneous name, Jesus, that of course means the Christ, came into Galilee. He came in to see a whole bunch of those that left of the congregation of the dead, and even those that were seeking knowledge of themselves. And not only that, he came into Galilee over in the islands. Galilee is also an island. See, Galilee is actually a gathering of the people. It's not a physical place. It's a meaning of gathering the people. So, as the Christ came gathering the people, he was preaching the gospel of the kingdom of God. Verse 14. And verse 15, and saying, the time is fulfilled, and the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent ye, and believe the gospel. Now we look at Matthew chapter 24. That this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and then shall the end come. That's verses 14 and 15 of Mark chapter 1. And as he walked, others came. Even in verse 16, as he walked by the sea. See, the Sea of Galilee, it's like an island. It's like a landmark on the shore. He saw simple-minded people, and he saw some that came to drew. They drew, and they drew. His brother casting a net on the internet, Facebook internet, YouTube internet, TikTok internet, see the net into the sea of people, for they were fishers of men. Anyway, that's what the Christ was doing, and he's doing it today. Walking among the sea of people, teaching them and resurrecting their minds to come to reality, leave the fantasy alone, come to reality. Nevertheless, John was in prison, and when he was in prison, he sent two, back in 1992, as I began to wake up and realize who I am, he sent two of his disciples to talk to me. That's in Scripture too. When he heard what I was doing, one of them I know for a fact is where John went, and that's to death. John, one of the two, I'm sure that she's dead. It was two women. And That fulfilled prophecy too. In fact, we're going to read that. Now, this fulfillment is found in Matthew, the book called Matthew, the first book of the New Testament, chapter 11. And we're going to start at verse 1, only a few verses. In verse 1, it reads, as I quote, "And it came to pass, when the Christ had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities. Now, when John, or Yohanan, John the Baptist, had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent 2 of his disciples." I'm not going to call their names, but as I mentioned a moment ago, they were 2 women. One of the 2 is dead physically. The other one that I believe is still alive, I will not even mention her name. She's not worth coming out of my mouth. Her name is not worth coming out of my mouth, and she owes me money. In charge of the Peace Foundation, she owes me money, and I pray she can hear this voice, because you're dead. You are still among the congregation of the dead. You have no idea who I am. You refuse to learn. Go call your master to come and save you from me. Call your master, call your God to save you from me. And he better have more than 20,000 spaceships that are here. As I move on to verse 3, "And said unto him," the disciples came and said unto me, "Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another?" And I'm testifying to you today that that's exactly what was said when we met in Miami, Florida, in a building that's called a Phone Doctor. It's still there today in Miami. As we were talking, they came. They told me that Yahweh ben Yahweh told us to come talk to you. And while we were talking in that conversation, one of the 2 said to the other one, "Do you think Micah is the one that Yahweh ben Yahweh was telling us about?" And the other one said, no, it couldn't be Micah. Here it is in Scripture. I repeat, verse 3, Matthew chapter 11, verse 3, "And said unto him, Micah, art thou he that should come, or do we look for another?" And the Christ answered and said unto them, "Go and show Yahweh ben Yahweh again those things which ye do hear and see." That's in my book that he titled, "I Bear Witness of the Son," Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Then you'll know who I am. Why? Because the blind receive their sight, and the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, and the deaf can hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them in my book. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me, Micah. Now go and tell him that. Go and tell Yahweh ben Yahweh that. And he'll know, but see, he already knew. It's you we were trying to educate, but you couldn't hear him. Why? Because you're in the congregation of the dead. You can't even hear my voice right now. Now here comes another revelation. You wrote on the top of your paper, "Me, myself, and I," didn't you? Okay. Well, newsflash. When you go in your Strong's Concordance and you look up the so-called pronoun "me," spelled from left to right, M-E, you know what you're going to discover? See, this is what this concordance does online. The James Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the King James Version Bible. It is supposed to have text every word in English that's found in the Bible, even a letter, even one letter, one iota that's known as I, either Greek or English. Iota, I. There is no I in Hebrew. See, that becomes a personal pronoun that we call ani. See, the ones under Christ will say ani. But Christ himself will always say Anoki with the O in the middle of the circle. But when you look in your Strong's Concordance, you type in your search box M-E, that you know only as me, you're going to discover that me is found printed in the Bible, King James Version, 8,853 times. Did you hear the number? 8,853 prints of me, M-E. How do I know? Because I'm the one that you're supposed to get your understanding from, that you veered away and went to the congregation of the dead. You remain in the congregation of the dead. Actually, 4,096. That's the I. Let's go back to I for a moment. That's the last item. Me, myself, and I, right? Okay. Let's go to I. We'll do it coming. We're going to do the last first, and the first last. That's I. That's what you put to the bottom of your paper, what you saw? I. See, that's a iota, right? You would think that when you put that in the search box, it's going to pick up every I, even in the words. You know, like you spell, for example, you may find something like bite, B-I-T-E. You would think it would pick up that I in the bite, B-I-T-E, right? No. It picks up a personal pronoun as the first person singular. 8,853 times. And it's printed by itself like that. Either cap or lowercase. See? That's what I say, 8,853. See, there it is. So what does that mean? You're not going to come to the first meaning until you get to Genesis chapter 3, verse 10. And just as I said, see the Ani? This is Ani, or Anoki, which is the first person, singular. Is that right? So what's it mean, the first person, I, Anoki? So whenever you heard, for example, Yahweh ben Yahweh, who they called Yahweh ben Yahweh, John the Baptist, on his podium teaching, and he say, I, was he saying Anoki? Or was he saying Ani? Take a look.
I am Yahweh in the flesh as the Son.
Here you have two. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 17, you have two. You have I under H589, which takes you away from Anoki, and I take you to Ani, which is the first person singular? No. Usually used for emphasis. So now you have someone totally different from Anoki. And look how you have here. You have me, mine, myself, we, which, who, in the Strong's definitions, under Ani. It even says contracted from H595. And then the etymology takes you to H595. It's Anoki. That means Anoki created Ani. I said Anoki created Ani. Without Anoki, there could be no Ani. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and Mammon. Reference the King James Version Holy Bible's book called Matthew in chapter 6 and verses 22, 23, and 24 of the 1611 edition. You got it? So that means, and when we go to this video, and that's what who they call Yahweh when Yahweh was teaching. Every time he said I, he was referring to two. Oh, did you know that? If he was referring to two, to explain Genesis chapter 6 and verse 17, which says, I quote, and behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. So which one did it? Which I? The first meaning again is H589, and then all of a sudden it takes you to H2009 under I, which is Hane. That means what? Behold, to see. Lo, that's if. With the etymology is the same thing under H2005. You have H2009 that takes you to H2005. And all of a sudden you have Hain, you have behold, lo, though. So what he was saying is, whenever they heard him say, I am Yahweh, that he was saying, I am one to behold, there's one coming after me who's also I. And that's why you have I, even I. And you also have one that's yet to be seen, that's coming as I. Or did you know that? No, because now we got to take you to the other meaning of eyes. Don't forget, you have 8,853 times where I is found printed with different meanings. So let's go to another book, chapter, and verse where I is found with a different meaning. See how we have in Genesis chapter 9, verse 9, how this I here and I and behold I again, separated with H2, H589, and H2005. Well, I have another news flash for you in a moment. I have another shock for you. See, I told you earlier when you did your title, I does not exist. You don't know I. Who opened the door? I did. Really? You opened the door? Who's going to close it? I am. And there's another I in Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 28 that has nothing to do with yourself. There's several I's in that verse. As I read it, as I quote in Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 28, fear thou not, O Jacob, my servant, saith the Lord, for I am with thee, for I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee. But I will not make a full end of thee, but correct thee in measure, yet will I not leave thee wholly unpunished. End quote. Notice in this verse, I appears 5 times in one verse. And each I has a different meaning. Every one of them bears a different meaning. The last I that says, again, yet will I not leave thee wholly unpunished, bears the Hebrew meaning under H5352, takes you to reference H53, 52, with no etymology that bears a Hebrew word known as nakah. Nakah. And it means to be empty. Be clear, be pure, be free, be innocent, be desolate, and be cut off. It also means to be cleaned out and to be purged out. Wow, you didn't know that. Secrets being revealed today. That means many of the times when who you call Yahweh ben Yahweh was standing on his podium teaching, many of the times when you heard him say, he was purging you out as rebels. That's who he was speaking to, a bunch of dead rebels. That's what you are today. When you heard him say, he said, be purged out. And he was also punishing you. And he was freeing himself from you. And to be exempt from punishment. He was also telling you, and most of those others, to hold innocent. Because there were a few that were not like you, dead, the congregation of the dead, that he would not leave unpunished. You would not be left unpunished. You're being punished now. You're being punished right now with wisdom. Wisdom is punishing you right now. Why? Because you can't stand it. You refuse. You reject it. You reject wisdom. You love evilness. And you're going to be cut off because of and become desolate. That's the meaning. That's still the same meaning of nakah. Again, H53, 52. You thought it was just altogether. Don't forget, we're dealing with 8,853 times where is found printed in the King James Version Bible with several different meanings. Well, what about me? Well, we're not finished with yet. We're going to get to me in a minute. See, I'm called Mem Yod. That's what I'm calling. That's what I'm calling myself. That's what my Ab knows me by. Mem Yod. Yod. My Ab's name is Yod. I'm Mem Yod. He told you in Exodus chapter 23 and verse 21 that his name would be in me. My name would be in him, he said. Well, my Ab is Yod. I'm Mem Yod. I'm not even Mika. Mika is who is like God. Let me show you that. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to put, but here's another I before we get to that. See, I have to give you the foundation before you look at this video so you can know what he was saying when he was saying what he said. So let's go back here for a moment. I'm going to find something in Jeremiah. I believe chapter 50. Chapter 50 and let's see what verse. Take a look at Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 9. That reads, as I quote, "For, lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country," and that's happening now, "and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain," end quote. And that's happening now. You need to find out who that mighty expert man is. And that's what's happening now. That mighty expert man is taking them right now. And we are setting ourselves in array in purple against her. We're in purple. And here you see in that verse, I found one time with the same meaning, which is Anoki. That means that's the same Anoki as the expert man. That's what the Lord uses, Anoki. Everyone else uses Ani. Let's move on now for a moment to me. Remember the title is Me, Myself, and I. So what is me? Me is found printed in the same Bible, King James Version, 4,096 times. And we have been giving you throughout the years a reference in a strong concordance that we've been sharing that's known as H4310, H4310. And we're telling you today, I'm revealing today that it has nothing to do with me.
Wow.
Did you hear it? H, I repeat. H, see, I repeat. No, Anoki repeat. Anoki. Anoki repeat that me in English from left to right spell M-E. The 13th Hebrew, actually 13th English alphabet. Right? And the 5th English's letter or second vowel E has nothing to do with myself or Mika. It has nothing to do with H4310. The only thing H4310 does is give you the two Hebrew symbols that gives you the sound of me, which is Mem Yod. So Mem Yod together gives you me, but it doesn't give you myself. It doesn't give you mine. It doesn't give you Mika. You know what M-E or Mem Yod gives you? It gives you who? Look at this word again in English in your concordance, M-E, that's found 4,096 times. And it has 62 columns worth of verses where you'll find M-E. Do you see it when you search it? 62 columns, and that's from the Old Testament to the New Testament. And that'll be from Genesis chapter 3, verse 12, all the way to Revelation chapter 22, verse 12. And not one of those verses will you find the reference H4310 for me. I challenge you to do it. I've done it. I searched 49 of those columns. 49. I searched from 1 to 49. I did not find H4310 for me. But you know what I did find? I found H7200 for me. That means that whenever you find, see me here, here's me under H5978. That takes you to the Hebrew word known as Ahmad. Ahmad. Under H5978, Ahmad, and it means with. So how do you get me with? What? With. That's supposed to be me. How do you get with? With me or by me? It takes you to that Maji takes you again to with and long for. That Maji is H5973. Aim, with, against, as long as, beside, except. How does that happen? It's supposed to be me. In spite of. So when you heard, and when they heard back in the days, who they call Yahweh said, you got to come to me. what he was telling them is, you got to come in spite of me. You got to come in spite of who you're looking at and go to who's coming. That's what he was telling them. In spite of who you see here standing in front of you, you got to go to who's coming after me. As long as. And against. Again, I'm not making this up. That's H5973. And the etymology is every time he said me, he was hiding someone else. The etymology is H6004, imam, right? And that means to dim, be held dark, to grow dark, to be dimmed, to overshadow, become dim. So every time, most of the time it was saying me, he was dimming your eyes and your mind. You couldn't see nothing. You still had a veil over your mind, over your heart. You were in the dark. You need to have some light. That comes from me. No, not the voice you're hearing. It's coming from me. See how you got confused? It's not me. It's coming from me. It's coming from a mom. Other meanings, or another meaning of me in English, me, that you think is me, it's not me. You're not listening to me anyway. Another meaning is H5619. What is that? To stone. So that's the stone. How you get stoned out of me? You gonna stone me? You stone me to death. To be stoned to death, that's me. Look it up for yourself. H5619 under me in your Strobel Concordance. It takes you to Sakal. That means to stone to death, or put to death by stoning. You sure you want to tangle with me? You want to come and mess with me and get stoned to death? I'm not making it up. Look at H413 under me, Exodus chapter 18, verse 15. Under me. Takes you to El. That means what? Toward, of motion, in addition to. So whenever you heard at times Yahweh say, you're going to come to me, well, you're going to come to someone in addition to him. In addition to him, you got to come to me. You got to come to someone after him, according to. I'm still in the definition. According to. Rule or standard. In between the time that's coming. From the time he left to the time I came back, in between you have me. And you also had me. You had I, you even had I. Even I. You have the motion or direction of a hostile character under me. Again, under that meaning, under the H meaning of me. Is that right? What's H5337? Here are another meaning of me. Other than H413. Here is another me. To snatch away. You want to come snatch me away? How about rescue me? H5337. Me. I'll give you the foundation of what you're about to hear from a lesson he taught. They didn't know what he was saying. Who? Moses, Israel, John the Baptist, or shall I say Yahweh ben Yahweh? Which one do you prefer? Here is Exodus chapter 33 and verse 20. I'm going to read that. Exodus chapter 33 and verse 20. And it reads, I quote, and he said, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. End quote. Here you have me in this verse with the meaning of H7200. What meaning is this me? This H7200 of Ra'a, it means to see, to look at, inspect, perceive, and consider, and have vision. How you get a vision from me? I'm giving you the vision now. Who I am. Anoki am. You believe this? This comes from me, 7200. To look at. Look at who? Me. To gaze at. Gaze at who? Me. To be seen by who? Me. To be visible. Who? Me. To cause to see. Who? Me. How? Show who? Me. Show me. To be caused to see me. To look at each other. Who? Me. Who? Face. Do you enjoy me? Here it is. Enjoy. How do you come out of that? You come out of her. There is no English Hebrews. Oh, did you hear me? There are no English Hebrews. Don't make me laugh. There are no English Hebrew Israelites. Where you gonna find English Hebrew Israelites in England? Unless you find Judah. That's not Hebrew, that's citizenship. Judah is in England as citizenship. There are no English Hebrew Israelites. Yehuda will always be Yehuda from Israel, a tribe. Just because they're black and not white like the English British people, and they say, I'm going to take a bath, meet me at the pub, old boy, I'll be there soon, directly. You think, and you close your eyes, you think it was a white Englishman speaking. And when you open your eyes, you still got to look for them because they're so dark, you can't even see them in the dark. They're so black. Judah, speaking like a white Englishman. Do you have $1? $1. A beer. I'm going to go to the pub and get a beer. Or daughter. What is your schedule? Do you have a schedule for today? You mean schedule? I said schedule. I am Judah from Yehuda. Have you seen the Queen today? Old boy, old chop. Oh boy, old chop. Okay, boy, chop. That's Judah, English. Ain't no English Hebrew Israelites. Get that out of your mind. Do you see that H7200? For me. Here is a H8130 under me. Exodus chapter 20, verse 5. How good, what does this mean? Son A. Wait, are you saying you hate me? That's hate, to hate, to be hateful of man. Wait a minute, did I get this right? H8130 for me in your Strong's Concordance. Is that right? Under Exodus chapter 20, verse 5, that reads, as I quote, "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For look, I, Anoki, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me." Do you hate me? That's under H8130. You hate me. That's what it means. Hate. Hate me. Son A. Of man, to be hated. Of persons. What other God are you serving besides Yod? Wait a minute. Let me guess. Are you serving Yahweh ben Yahweh as a God? Is that what you're doing? Or are you serving Yahweh, the English people God? Are you serving the God of England, Yahweh? You don't have to listen to me. In fact, I encourage you not to listen to me. And don't believe anything that me say. Look at me toward unto. Here's another me in addition to. We had this one, didn't we? El. H413. That also came with I. You can find L under I. Look at H5619 under me. That's Stone Me. We have that one. So where does M-E, where did Mem Yod come from? Comes from who? When you go in your search box, go to your same search box and type in who, me? I'm talking to you. Who? Who you talking to? Me? Yeah, go in your search box and type in who, me. Together. WHO space ME. See what takes you to your stroke concordance. 231 times and 86 verses. Who, me? Yes. Now you got H4310. Wait a minute, now make up your mind. H4310, you get me. I thought we were looking for who. See it? Mem Yod, me. It's a pronunciation. But who you get? Right, exactly. No, who? Right. No, I'm asking you who. Okay, right, that's true. But whose is it? You're exactly right. No, whose? Now, this is not a who on first and what's on second. This is who, right. Mem Yod, right. So what's Mem Yod? Me. So what does it mean? Who? I'm talking to you. Okay, I know that. But what does it mean? Who? You. No. It's who. It's whom. It's whoever. I'm not asking whoever. I'm asking you. What does Mem Yod mean? It means who. I'm not talking to you. Who? I'm talking to who? No, I'm talking to you. I'm asking you, what does Mem Yod mean? It means who. Not me. Who? You. Whose? Who is like God? Whoever. Look, where about how? How'd you get it? Under its etymology, under H4100, under Ma. Now, I'm not asking you for my Ma. Now, I didn't say nothing about your Ma. Don't talk about my mama. Don't you talk about my mama. I'm not talking about your mama. I'm saying Ma. Yeah, well, what my Ma got to do with it? No, that's how. How, what? What? Yeah, right. How, what? Ooh, me. Mem Yod. No, what? Ooh, what kind? What? Who? Whatsoever. How, what? I'm asking you how, when, now? How now? Why? Because I'm asking the question, why? I thought it was who, what? Because of what? Because of the question, why? What question? Who, what? How much? How much what? Is it free? Yes. How many? How many what? Dollars? Dollars of what? How often do I have to pay you? For how long? Under H4100. Who? Me? Who, me? Mem Yod. So what was Yahweh Ben Yahweh really saying on the podium for me? How long are you going to be here? Congregation of the dead. How long are you going to be walking around dead after I leave? And what kind of dead are you going to be walking around with? Mentally or physically? You going to funerals? Might as well. Go talk to a corpse in the coffin. Ask him, what's the duty of a Hebrew Israelite man while you're laying down dead in the coffin? Ask him. See if he'll answer your question. Go ask a woman who dead. Go ask your cousin who died last week. What's the duty of a Hebrew Israelite woman? See if she answers your question to lead to following righteousness. See if she can say that. Who? Right. H4310. Mika. Mem Yod. No, it's not Mika. That's Mem Yod. It's right here. See who? Who? Me. See, you get who and me in the same verse. In Genesis 4:27, you get who and me. But you don't get the same me in 27:33 in Genesis. Why? Because and Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who? Under H4310. Where is he that has taken venison and brought it me, Anoki, or Ani, and I have eaten all of it. I have eaten all before thou camest. And have blessed him. Yeah. He shall be blessed. Who? Me? under H4310? But who did it? How about in Jeremiah? How about Jeremiah? Who? This is under who, me? Who, me? How about Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 44? You ready for this? Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 44, I quote, "Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who, under H4310, is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who, under H4310, is like me, God? Who is like God, me, Micah? And who will appoint me the time? And who, under H4310, is that shepherd that will stand before me?" This whole verse is speaking of Micah, who is like God, the name, the meaning of the name. Who? Me. Who? Mem Yod. So whatever you heard, and they heard back in the days, Yahweh was saying me. He was speaking of Micah. He was speaking of who is like God. And finally, myself. You have to the top of your paper as the title of this testimony, Revelation, me, myself, and I. So what of myself? What is it with myself? What's myself? Myself, they say, appears printed in the King James Version Bible 118 times in 114 verses. Not 100 and 100. Not and 100, 100. What is it? Is it 144,000 or is it 144 and 4,000? 140 and 4,000. Who? Myself? I was naked. Who told you I was naked? See, myself never existed. Why? Because I hid it. Or did you know that? I'm revealing it today. Myself does not exist at all. Why? I hid it. Don't you see? Genesis chapter 3 verse 10. Can you hear my voice? This is the day I reveal it. What? I quote, "And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden. And I was afraid." Are you afraid to hear my voice today? Why? Because I was naked? Who told you I was naked? And I hid. See, I hid myself before I came out. I hid myself before you came naked. I did. I hid myself for the day before you became naked, not knowing who you is, naked from your true self. Naked from your true culture, language, land, history, your God. You're naked. So what I do, I hid myself. Wow, so you wouldn't use myself, because you can't use myself. That's two different words. What? My and self. Self only occurs, is only found printed 4 times. Or did you know that? See myself? You have 118 times it says. The first time in Genesis chapter 3, verse 10, they give you a meaning of H2244 for myself. And where does that take you? What is that? That had nothing to do. See, that's what dress to hide. Where is myself? It had nothing to do with yourself. It's to hide. I hid yourself. I hid myself. I hid yourself and myself. From who? The people of the world, this planet, to be hidden. That's why you look like they do. Or they look like you. It's a secret. See, secretly. So what's myself? To be hidden. Who is myself? There is no self. Me, myself, and I. What? That means me, that don't exist, are hid your I. Yeah, me hid your I from everybody else. They can't see you. You become like one of them, or they become like one of you. How you get myself with H589 it takes you to Ani. You mean myself is Ani? That's the first person? So are you going? You say, who going to do that? I'm going to do it myself. Okay, how? How are you going to do it yourself? When? Which one of these? Alone? Are you going to do it alone? How can I myself alone bear your cumbrance and your burden and your strife in Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 12? I repeat, Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 12. How can I myself alone bear your cumbrance and your burden and your strife? And this myself takes you to H5375. Where'd that come from? NASA. What's that got to do with myself by lifting up something to bear up, carry up, to take it? What's that got to do with myself? It don't exist. Why? Because I hid myself. I hid myself. It don't exist. You want me to prove to you? Finally, I'm going to prove to you. It does not exist. See, you cannot get myself as one word. It must be separated. You must separate the Y and the S of myself in your search box. And you're still not going to get very far with myself. Only once. Or you only get once of separating the myself. Why? Because I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge. And my judgment is just. Why? Because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me. So see, of own self and my, that means the only self that exists is my own. Mine own is the only self that exists. Don't you see that in John chapter 5 verse 30? That's the only self that exists, period. And what is self? Me, myself, etc. Here we right back to their lie. Look, I, me, myself. That's your title. Me, myself, and I, etc. There's your title. Took you right back to the circle. We would take a big circle. The first shall be last, the last first. Don't even exist. That means what? It means when you take away my from self, how many times does self exist? It's only printed 4 times in the Bible. What, self? Really? So how could all these selves be going around today? If it only exists 4 times. 6 times. In about self. 6 times you found self. Oh, did I mention it only once in the Old Testament? That has no meaning? So how could it exist if it has no meaning in Hebrew? And what they give you in Greek? That's the same one we just found in John chapter 5 verse 30 of self. And here's a self on the G846. That'd be what? Himself, itself, herself, themselves. So we must go and get a lot out of my and my, since they put it together. They put my and self together as one word that don't even exist. So what about my? How about, is that 4 times? My. How many times you got my in the Bible? Look, my. Where's my? My covenant, my bow, my. My wrong. Where's my? Where's the first meaning, the first column for my? My punishment, my voice, my spirit, my covenant, my sister, my house, my wrong. Where is my? Where's the meaning for my? M-Y. In the Bible, in English, my. Where is it? We got to go to the last verse of the column before we get to my son, my. Where is my? It don't exist. Where is it? Did I pass it? Will somebody help me find it? Where is my? Here, look, it takes right back to ani. Wow. That means my does not exist. There's no such word. So how could you do something myself? Look at ani. It doesn't exist. Why? What are the letters in English? M-Y. What is in Hebrew? Mem, Yod. Here we go back to H4310. Mem, Yod. So what was the one whom you are calling Yahweh ben Yahweh teaching you on the podium? Go take a look at the video that I've been seeing lately. I've seen recently on YouTube. That is, it bears a title. I believe something like "The Son Revealed" or something like that. How about Master Teacher, How to Recognize the Son? Take a look at that starting from the 8-minute mark. And you tell me what was being taught that day. As the first thing you hear him say, as you start the 8-minute mark, one of the first things he says is, "I am Yahweh." That's come in the flesh as the Son. Explain that. Hear it for yourself.
The Lord Yahweh in the beauty of holiness.
I am Yahweh in the flesh as the Son. This entire book from Genesis to Revelations is about me. According to Luke 24, 25, 26. In verse 25, you become a fool if you are slow of mind, if you are mentally debilitated, to believe all that the prophets have spoken. That means that you cannot lay the Old Testament aside. Because that's where the prophets spoke. That means the old preacher is a liar when he tries to say the Son of Man only wants you to read the New Testament. Because here, the Son of Yahweh is saying, you're a fool if you are slow of mind to believe all that the prophets have written. All of it. And in verse 27, read.
And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself.
Now, when I come before you, it's just about time now for me to start at Genesis and go all through all the prophets and the New Testament, all the scriptures, and Revelation, all the scriptures, and not just tell you about myself, but expound. Look up expound. Huh? See how well I'm supposed to do this. Because all of this is about myself. Huh? Yeah, see, the entire Bible is about me. If you already knew this, I wouldn't have to tell you this. Expound.
Expound, to set forth or state in detail.
I must not tell you in generalities, but set forth my argument in detail. Get that down. So when I go into Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, see, when I begin to discuss in the beginning, Yahweh created heaven and earth, so when I just start, I have to go into the detail of in. I can't set that forth in generalities and leave anything to your imagination.
So when you heard, and when they heard back in the days, who they called Yahweh said, "You got to come to me." What he was telling them is, you got to come in spite of me. You got to come in spite of who you're looking at and go to who's coming. That's what he was telling them. In spite of who you see here standing in front of you, you got to go to who's coming after me. As long as and against. Again, I'm not making this up. That's H5973. And the etymology is every time he said me, he was hiding someone else. Yeah, so in conclusion, you see, he spoke of, I am Yahweh in the flesh as the Son. And then he also said me. He also said myself. They come in the volume of the book from Genesis to Revelation, and that is true. So that's the testimony of the Revelation. But what's in your studies? You need to wake up in a hurry. Wake up out of that dead congregational mind and come to the life of Yod. That's all I have to say.
Hallelujah, Yahweh. Kazak Ve'ema. Baruch Hashem, Yahweh. What is our motto? What is our motto? We're all for one. We're both for our brothers and sisters. What about soup? Praise Yahweh. How do we love Yahweh? And how do we love our brothers and sisters? Praise Yahweh. What is the duty of a Hebrew man? What is the duty of a Hebrew woman? And what if he returns from the law? Praise Yahweh. What time is it? What makes up a nation? What makes up families? And if either turns from the law, and if either are weak, praise Yahweh. Praise Yahweh. Psalms 100. Praise Yahweh. What color is Yahweh Almighty? What color are all the prophets? What color is his son? What color is the nation of Israel? How many tribes of Israel? What's the name of the fourth tribe? What did Yahweh choose Judah to do? What did Yahweh choose Judah to do? How long? How long is forever? Praise Yahweh. What did Yahweh choose black Judah to do? How long?